allowed myself to be curious again. And now, Jordan, I can say you have been one of the most influential people to me for so many reasons I couldn't even mention right now. And I could have never imagined this ever in my entire life. Thank you. Just thank you. Thank you.
You got him.
It's a pleasure. It's a rough pleasure, but...
I know.
You know, you knew what happened to me with Marvel Comics. That was something. It's really something to see yourself portrayed. You know, I got accused of being a Nazi pretty much when all this happened. It was really something because I had been teaching students what we're talking about today, about these temptations that you faced and how people, as individuals, get sucked into that totalitarian hell.
Finally,
I have some sense of how fast time goes. You know, I've always had a very acute sense of the finitude of existence. And this is a good hint for people who have children, but with regards to your family members at all, is don't take it for granted. No, every second you get that isn't painful, you should cherish. Have some sense, you know, I don't know how you lay it out properly, but you tell people that you love how to avoid the road to hell. And you don't do that because you're shaking your finger at them or because you're a moral authority. You do it because you don't want them to burn. If you view someone with love, then it's incumbent upon you to treat them as if they're valuable. The more you treat other people as if they're valuable, the better person you are. That just comes along for the ride in some sense. So none of that seems questionable to me. That seems solid. And so then maybe the more love you view other people with, the higher the moral demand that's placed on you. And then I would say too, well then that's another reason why it's so important to be truthful and in some sense to be good, because it isn't obvious to me that you can withstand that moral load. And I think there's too much of the moral authority still in the church and not enough of the, you know, the love that helps people avoid the fire. It's really something to see constantly how many people are dying for lack of an encouraging word. And how easy it is to provide that if you're careful. You know, give credit where credit is due. And to say, you're a net force for good if you want to be.
Do you believe you're a net force for good?
Net, yes. In all the details, probably not. You know, no one's perfect. So, people make their mistakes as they stumble uphill. It's the other thing too is that the relationship you have with your kids, if your eyes are open, that is the best relationship you will ever have with anyone in your life. I was thinking about my son. It tears me up because I've been so sick. I haven't seen much of him, but he came up for Thanksgiving, which was great, with his wife and his son. And he's a very good father. It's lovely to see. And, you know, I can't really ever remember having a fight with him. The other thing too is that the relationship you have with your kids, if your eyes are open, that is the best relationship you will ever have with anyone in your life. To have the best relationship with you that they possibly could have. Like they're 100% on board with that idea. Way more than anyone you've ever met in your life. And that means you could have the best relationship with your children that you've ever had with anyone. That's what they offer you. And it's up to you to realize that. And you could. And that's a hell of a, that's a good opportunity, man. You know, even if you've been beat around a lot and betrayed and hurt, you've got those little kids and they're thinking, what do you want to do, Dad? You know, and if you're bitter, that'll cut you to the quick and you'll hurt them. You don't want to do that. And it's the father's role to serve as the antithesis of that maternal overprotection. So a woman is extremely bonded with her infant, say between 0 and 9 months, and the infant is utterly helpless. And so complete compassion and the provision of comfort is the only job that matters, and that's really the case. And then the woman has to switch gears to some degree. The mother has to switch gears as the child starts to become more independent. She has to let go of the infant, which is a real grieving process, and she has to start to facilitate this movement towards independence. But that's a hard shift, and so partly the role of the father in that is to be an advocate for the child's independence. Where you go, kid? Where you go? Where you go? Well, why? It's dangerous out there. It's like, yeah, no kidding. It's more dangerous here if you stay with me. By a lot. So you might lose your body out there in the world, but if you stay here, you lose your soul. It's painful because you cling to what you shouldn't be. You should be convinced in your heart that you're doing the best you can with what you've been given. And hopefully that'll make you less anxious and it'll make you more hopeful. But, you know, you should have the same kind of regard for yourself that you have for someone that you love. Yeah. That's what love should do. Like if you love someone, if it's genuine love, you see their hidden soul. That's a good way of thinking about it. You get a glimpse of the light that they could reveal to the world if they revealed it. That's what you see. And then to act in love is to encourage that to come forward and to discourage anything that gets in its way. I will do good no matter what. No matter what happens to me. I will do good no matter what happens to me. It's absolute rejection of the idea of being a victim. No matter how much suffering comes my way, no matter how much undeserved suffering comes my way, undeserved and unjust, let's say, in spite of my innocence, I will not lose faith and I will do good. Nietzsche said that you could tell much about a man's character by how much truth he could tolerate. The pathway to who you could be if you were completely who you were is through the truth. And so the truth does set you free, but the problem is that it destroys everything that isn't worthy in you as it sets you free, and that's a process of burning, and it's painful because you cling to what you shouldn't be.